Welcome back to another RotoWire video. In this one, I'm going to be answering the most popular questions ahead of FPL Gameweek 9, so let's get into it. Okay, so the first question we're looking at is whether you should keep or sell Reijnders. Now, it's been frustrating if you've owned Reijnders. He had a fantastic game week 1 where he got a goal and an assist and looked incredible. Since then, he's only returned in one game, and it wasn't particularly recently either. Now, City's fixtures do get a little bit worse over the next few as well. It's Aston Villa, then Bournemouth, I believe, and then Liverpool, I believe. So the fixtures aren't that great for the next few, to be honest. But the main problem with him is that his minutes are now a bit more risky. We have seen up until the last game week that his minutes have looked pretty solid, and he's been starting most games, getting over 70 minutes in most games. However, in the most recent game against Everton in game week 8, he came off after 58 minutes, which isn't really going to cut it for us. I mean, he is only a 5.6, 5.7 million midfielder, but he's not going to be startable if we don't know whether he's going to play good minutes or not. Now, the one thing I will say, I think he's fine as an 8th attacker. I don't think he's fine as a 7th attacker. So I think that's kind of the distinction you need to make in your team. If you're going to have him as an 8th attacker and you can maybe rotate him in and out as and when you need to, then fine, because we can also play 4 at the back with some of these cheaper defenders that we've got now. But if you're using him as a 7th midfielder that you're going to have to play every single week, I do think he's now a bit of a problem. The only issue is his replacement if you're going to sell him. If you're looking at somebody that's around 6 million or cheaper, the options are pretty limited. You've got someone like Elliot Anderson, who also hasn't really been performing at the moment. Maybe now will under Sean Dyche, but I'm not sure I'll be buying him right now. You've also got Lucas Paqueta, who is on penalties, but West Ham are next level bad. If you watch the game on Monday, you will have seen just how bad West Ham are. The one player who is quite a good option, he's more expensive than Reijnders, but if you've got a little bit in the bank, then you can get up to Yankuba Minte of Brighton. I think that he is a nice option. I'm just not sure whether it's worth the switch, to be honest. So I do think that if you're going to use Reijnders as an 8th midfielder, you can probably just keep him. But if you do need him as a 7th midfielder, then maybe sell him. If you can work it into a double move where you can get some funds to go up to Enzo or Sarr, then brilliant. If not, then yeah, maybe just keep him. Moving on to the next question, and we're looking at premium defenders because yes, Defcon has helped out these 4 million defenders. However, there is still some really, really good premium defenders. The best ones here are from Arsenal, as we know. Gabriel is quite close to a must-own at this point. He has ridiculous attacking threat. Every single corner goes towards him, and Arsenal are really, really good from corners. We know that. They've been this good from corners for over a year now. Declan Rice puts in unbelievable balls, Saka from one side as well. If you don't own Gabriel, then Gabriel is the best. Timber is also really, really good. Now, I do prefer a double Arsenal defence over a double Arsenal attack, and I think that Timber and Gabriel are the two best ones, as I mentioned last week. So, given how attacking Timber is, I think that he is just brilliant. He's also a bit better than Calafiori for me, just because I think that Ben White, his fitness isn't quite there, we can see that. So I think Timber is less likely to get rotated than Calafiori is, because Calafiori has Lewis Skelly to deal with, and Hinsapi, I don't know how you say his name, but the new left centre-back / left back that Arsenal have. So yeah, Timber is obviously brilliant, and another one to put in the mix is Munoz from Palace. He is just doing what he did last season. He's basically playing as a right winger at this point. The positions that he picks up are outrageous. It's quite funny watching the television when you've got the game on, someone like Sarr or Mateta has got the ball, and just you see down the right hand side, Munoz just pops up in the most attacking position. He will get your attacking returns. The fixtures for Palace get really good from game week 10, so he's a great player to own as well. And some other sneaky players to look at here. Chelsea's fixture run is wonderful from this week, or it was from last week to be honest as well. The likes of Gyökeres, or if you're feeling really brave, Reece James could be players to look at as well. Going on to the next question, we've got keep or sell Gyökeres. Feels like we talk about him and João Pedro almost every single week. For me, I think he's still a keep. This could be slightly biased because I do own him in my team, But every single game I've watched recently, he just looks absolutely fine. He's getting chances. We saw in the Champions League this week as well that he is getting these chances, easy chances as well. So I do think that he's going to be absolutely fine. The fixtures are really good for Arsenal from next week onwards as well. They've got Sunderland and Burnley in game week 10 and 11. So I think, yes, you could do the swap to Saka if you don't own Saka but you own Gyökeres. I do think that if you're on wildcard, you would go for Saka because I think he's a better option. But I just don't think it's worth 2 free transfers to move Gyökeres down to a Woltemade or a Mateta. We'll talk about which one of those is best in the next question. I'm just not sure it's worth the double move to use 2 free transfers to then sell one of your potentially good midfielders as well. This is where Reijnders comes into it though. If you can get Gyökeres down to someone like Woltemade or Mateta and that gives you the money to move Reijnders up to someone decent, then that is something I kind of like. So I don't mind that double move. I'm just not sure that if the only reason you're doing the double move is to go from Gyökeres to Saka, I don't think it's worth 2 free transfers. I think Gyökeres is going to be absolutely fine for the next few weeks at least, and I think he will start scoring goals as we saw in the Champions League. Now if we go to the last question, as I mentioned, Woltemade or Mateta. A lot of people will be buying a forward this week. They'll be selling João Pedro or they'll be selling Gyökeres and they'll be moving to one of these guys. Now, Woltemade is absolutely fantastic. He is an unbelievable footballer. We saw that from his goal at the weekend, the nice little back heel flick. His finishing ability is fantastic, don't get me wrong. I am just not that convinced on the Newcastle attack in general. I think we can discard the Champions League games because they are against much different opposition. I mean, they played against Union SG in one of the games, and don't get me wrong, going forward, they were fantastic in that game. They also played in the Champions League this week, and were brilliant going forward in that game. But in the Premier League, we've only seen one game where, going forward, they've actually looked really good, and that was against Nottingham Forest a couple of weeks ago, when Nottingham Forest were at their worst point. Like, defensively, Nottingham Forest were horrific, really bad, and in the last 20 minutes of the game, Newcastle just created chance after chance after chance for Woltemade. And I do think that, yes, Anthony Gordon is playing as well and he will take some of the chances, but I do think that the team is kind of built towards getting chances for Woltemade. The likes of Murphy and Elanga, Trippier, all these players are creating chances for Woltemade. So if Newcastle score goals, he will be involved. But for me, Mateta edges it. Mateta has missed 5 big chances in the last 2 games, and he scored a hat-trick in one of those games. He registered the highest XG of a single player in a single game since they started recording XG in the Premier League. Again, from next week, he is someone we will want in our teams. The Palace fixtures get really good from next week onwards. I don't think that you need to buy Mateta this week. However, if you are set on doing, let's say, the double move, or you're set on selling Gyökeres or João Pedro this week, then I think I'd just go to Mateta because you'll want Mateta from next week onwards anyway. If you're just looking at this single move of João Pedro or Gyökeres to Woltemade or Mateta, I would suggest you maybe wait a week. Mateta obviously plays Arsenal away this week. João Pedro plays Sunderland at home, and Gyökeres plays Crystal Palace at home. Now, whilst that's not the best fixture, obviously, Crystal Palace did just concede 3 goals against Bournemouth, and that game looked incredibly open. So I would rather have Gyökeres and João Pedro this week than Mateta. I'd wait until next week to do that move if you can. Now that wraps up this one. Make sure you're checking out rotowire.com/soccer. All good stuff on there. You've got predicted lineups, you've got the stats charts, you've got weekly articles, everything you need. So make sure you're checking it out, rotowire.com/soccer. But like I say, that's all for this one. Make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.